if you're getting into investing and the thought of having to hire and fire and manage contractors is scary, you either have to get over that, or are there any other options? Can you hire somebody to manage your contractors for you?
Yeah. Hire a project manager, property manager. Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it. Hello and welcome back to Pillars of Wealth Creation. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. With me, we got Matt Jones. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. How are you doing, Todd?
I'm doing fantastic. Absolutely. So, anything new in the Matt Jones world?
No, just like always, I'm still working on my book, about halfway done through the editing process, which is long and grueling, but going to get there and get the book published.
Awesome. And are you self-publishing, Matt, or are you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. When I did a lot of research about it and found that unless you're famous already or have another bestseller, to get a big time publishing company to publish your book is pretty much impossible. So.
Okay. So, do you have like a release date or?
No, not yet. It's just, it's pending, how quick we can get done with the rest of the editing process. So now I'm looking at fall for the editing or for the publishing.
Okay. Got it. Cool. Well, that's exciting. I mean, it's coming near, right? You've been working hard at it for a long time, put a lot of effort into it, and it'll be fun to get it out this year.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, there's a lot of value to add to my future readers. I mean, I think the public is really going to like it.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to read it and share it with the audience. So cool. Man, I mean, for me, we're still plugging away. We're still looking at deals. We're excited about some potential opportunities here. And, the market is still very unknown, yet I think that if you're looking at things conservatively, you're still able to buy. I really, I've gone back and forth a little bit on my thoughts because we don't know, quite frankly, the future. But I feel like, look, if I can stick to what I've always stuck to, these deals just still make sense if we can find them, if we can get them. So there's no reason to not push forward on those properties. So definitely working kind of hard at that and trying to push things along. So.
Yep. And I know at the beginning of this pandemic, you sort of eased back on your capital expense projects, but then you realized that it didn't really need to be done. So, you have contractors that you're working with, and which actually leads to today's topic, which is about managing contractors.
Yeah. I mean, exactly right. Pandemic hit, we said, boom, let's, everybody hit the panic button with the pandemic, or most people did, and myself included a little bit. I said, we don't have no clue what's going to happen. Really the government money wasn't out there yet either. So we didn't know like what April was going to look like. Didn't know if people are going to get their stimulus checks. Didn't know if people are going to get unemployment checks. We didn't know how many of our tenant base was going to get affected by it. And so we were just like, let's put a pause on any future capital expenditures. We had some stuff going on that we just didn't say contractors pull out of. They continued, but no new additional. And just let's be really careful about what we're spending our money on, and we did that for a short period of time, and realized that we were actually getting still good results, and our tenants were actually wanting those upgraded units still. So we've had actually a lot of transfers, more transfers now than we've probably ever had, of tenants going from the non-renovated unit to the renovated units. Had a lot of demand on the renovated units. So we've continued to do that. I was reading an article the other day on A-class, and if you're in a market that's more of like that A-class type market, but they've got some A, some B, maybe even some C class mixed in the market, the A class is way are outperforming the B and the C class. People are wanting that luxury, wanting that nicer product still. Will that last? It's hard to say, but right now people are still wanting that nicer product in general.
So now it's still a good time to do those rehab projects that you had planned.
Yeah, and again, I would still be cautious about it. I wouldn't go crazy on it unless you've totally budgeted for it. Like if that's your business plan, 100%. If that's your business plan, then I think you should push forward. But for us, we're looking at these units and we want every single unit to be renovated, ready to move in. We don't want excuses of why we can't get tenants in because we don't have rent ready units. So we're trying to push forward with our contractors and really push them to get these units done.
And unless you're doing all the work yourself, you're going to have to hire contractors to do that work.
Yeah, definitely. And boy, I mean, look, if you're doing the work yourself, you need to rethink it, in my opinion. And even if you're good at it, like I'm really good at construction. I'm very, in my opinion, very skilled at it, and I can make things look really nice. I'm very knowledgeable in it, and I could do it myself. But it's not. It doesn't make any sense for me to do it myself. When I first started in this business, I was doing it myself. Very quickly, I realized that I'm not going to get these projects done in a timely fashion, and I'm not going to be able to do multiple projects at a time. And so I've got to start hiring people. And it didn't take me very long. I bought my first couple properties, and I did some of the renovations myself, where I realized, man, I mean, those could have gotten done a lot earlier had I actually hired somebody. And would it cost me more money? Sure. But my time is also worth something. So, and then the other thing is I would have been able to continue to build my business, continue to educate myself, continue to grow. And me doing it myself doesn't allow for that, right? I can only focus on so much at a time. So I'm focused on these projects and I'm not focused on my growth. I'm not focused on finding more properties. And so, yeah, you for sure have to hire people. And especially when we're talking large multifamily, I mean, there's no way you can turn, if I got 200 unit building, there's just no way you can even keep up with it.
Yep. And that makes sense. So yeah, why don't we talk a little bit about how to manage contractors now that we've talked about the importance of having a contractor, since you can't do all the work yourself and do it in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, managing contractors, it depends on how you want to do it, and you've got to decide. First of all, there's different types of projects, right? You've got your A class, you've got your B class, you've got your C class, and you've got your A class finishes, B class finishes, C class finishes. Usually, you probably don't have C class finishes just because that's just not how it is. You got your A plus, and you got your B finishes. Okay, so first of all, what kind of project do you have? Are you doing A plus finishes? Are you doing new construction? If you're doing that, you probably want more established contractor, one with a large company. That's a different deal. If you want to really, really manage, get down to the nitty gritty, then hiring your own employees might work. It's going to save you some money, but it's going to cause more hassle and headache. Now, here's what I'll say. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing construction management for a long time. I've done the construction myself. I put myself through college by doing remodeling construction. I've been in the business since 2000, and so 20 years. And I realized that managing contractors is like managing a bunch of kids.
Sure.
Construction workers, I should say. There's a lot of drama in that industry, and you have to have thick skin, and you have to have solid communication, and you have to have high expectations and follow through with that. If you want to manage effectively in construction, it's kind of that, in my opinion, that no BS industry. Every industry is a little bit different, and construction, in my opinion, is a little unique in that way. You're dealing, and then the other thing is you're dealing with a lot of guys, mostly some gals, but a lot of guys that, I don't know, I don't want to sound negative, but have that kind of that ego of like, I don't know how to exactly explain it, but that macho kind of ego type of thing. It's just how it is in the industry. And not everyone is like that, right? That's kind of a blanket statement, because there's plenty of them that aren't at all like that. But it's a very fractured industry too. And the way I mean that by, when you look at the industry, everybody, I think contractors kind of they're more entrepreneurial in a sense, right? So when you look at it, like just anybody who's anywhere, just look at it, you've got millions of contractors, right? You've just got so many contractors around. You don't have, the Walmarts, the Targets, the Home Depots, the Menards. No, you have A&J Contracting, you have Jim Brown Contracting, you have, P&Q Contracting. You have all these little contractors that have maybe themselves or maybe a couple employees, or maybe they hire subs, but they're not, they're doing $1 million or $2 million of business. They're not doing billions of dollars of business, right? You don't have these big, massive contractors. Now, in the new home or the development, you do have some of that, right? You have some Lennar Homes and some of the big ones, but for the most part, in the remodeling, especially the apartment world, you just don't have that. So you're dealing with kind of ma and pa type owners. It's a different deal than dealing with corporate.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, like with anybody, you treat them with respect and dignity. And I think part of that is making sure everything's in writing, because, a written contract is going to protect both you and them, so that, everybody's on the same page with what's expected and the timelines and pay and all that stuff.
100%. Contracts are a must. 100% have to be in writing. And don't rely on their contracts, because again, they're do-it-yourselfers, and so a lot of them are do-it-yourselfer contract. If they have a contract, by the way, a lot of them don't even have a contract. Hey, I want to interrupt real quick and talk to you about the North Star Real Estate Conference virtual event. Look, this is going to be an experience. So if you've wanted to take your investing to the next level, if you wanted to start investing, we're talking about cash flowing real estate at this conference. And it's more than a conference. Like I said, it's an experience. So it's not your run-of-the-mill webinar where you go, well, I could just listen to YouTube videos, podcasts, and so on. No, we're going to actually have interactive networking. You're going to be able to network. You're going to be able to speak with the speakers. You're going to be able to speak with the sponsors. You're going to be able to network and speak with each other. And the idea is, look, the live events, the best part is the networking. We want to bring that to the virtual experience, and that's what we're doing. So my team has been putting a ton of time in to getting that together so you can have the best experience possible. And it's not just webinars. It's not just a bunch of information being thrown at you. No, this is an experience. So we've got some amazing speakers. We've got Trevor McGregor. We've got Brandon Turner. We've got Michael Blanc. We've got Anna Myers. We've got myself. We've got amazing speakers. And that's just like the tip of the iceberg. We got so many more. We want you to attend this event. Look, if you want success now, this is an event you have to attend. It's going to be October 23rd and 24th, virtual event. And you can go onto our website, the nreconference.com, and get your tickets. Go ahead and use the promo code DEX, DEX, and that'll give you a discount. Get your tickets for $97. Or if you want to do the VIP, and the VIP is an amazing experience as well. that'll give you a discount as well on those tickets. So sign up now. Don't wait. Anybody who waits just ends up not taking action. People that are action takers, people that are successful, they actually get it done. And that's you. So they're do-it-yourselfers. So they went onto some website, maybe, and they made up a contract. Now, who knows what it's missing? Okay. So if I were in, and this is what we do, is we have our own contracts that we sign with our contractors. And I need to get even better at it because I'm a trusting person, but you've got to make sure you're following through with that and getting that all in writing. And like, when are they expecting payments? What do they get a down payment? When do they get the down payment? When do they get their second payment, third payment, fourth payment? When do they sign the lien release? Like, all of that stuff should be in writing so it's clear and defined. And that way, when they go, hey, I'm not showing up tomorrow unless I get a check, you can say, well, pull out the contract and you can see I'm going to send you a check when you finish the drywall, which probably will be tomorrow. So maybe you should show up tomorrow to finish that drywall, and then we'll send you the check. How do they receive the check? Is it wire? Is it an ACH? Is it a mail check? What is it? Because some contractors want you to drive to them and hand deliver a check to them. And I just don't have time to run around and meet contractors to give them a check. So where is that, like, what's that definition? We want to understand how do we pay people? How do we work with them? All that kind of stuff. Communication, respect is huge in the contracting world.
And do you ever offer bonuses to contractors who finish ahead of a time, or take money away if they finish after the expected timeline?
Yeah. So yeah, definitely performance bonuses. So usually if it's a smaller project or a one-off, then no. But if we're talking like they're gonna renovate 20 units or 10 units, or they got a big house renovation or something like that, yeah, timeline goals, performance goals are definitely an incentive. And then at the same time, as you said, we've got also, hey, if you don't finish by this date, or this date, then we can start docking you. So maybe our contract amount is for $20,000, but if you don't finish by a certain date, it goes down to 19.5, and then 19, and then so on. Those are incentives for them to get it done. I think that's definitely important. Again, clear communication is so key. And that's for anything, for any management, right? For managing your property managers, your contractors, it doesn't matter. Clear communication and expectations are key. The other thing I will say too, this is very notorious for contractors, and I'm kind of ragging on contractors, and it's not really, I like and respect contractors, but there's just some certain habits that they seem to tend to have. And one of the habits that I feel like a lot of contractors have is they don't know how to keep expectations in check. So they will tell you that they can get this project done in 3 weeks. When the project really, and you're like, whoa, 3 weeks, that's awesome. I want to hire you. Well, just remember, like, they say they can get done in 3 weeks. It's probably 6 weeks, right? And so understand their timeline that they put out there and the real timeline that is truly able to perform. Make sure that they can actually perform in that timeline. So usually when somebody says, hey, I can get this done in 3 weeks, and I know in the back of my mind, like, there's no possible way, then we'll set up the contract for, like, okay, 4 weeks is when, if you hit this in 3 weeks, we'll give you a bonus. If you hit this in 4 weeks, you'll get paid your amount. If it takes, to the start of the 5th week, then now you get docked. You've got to understand that a lot of them say that and they just think they can get it done, but there's so many things out of their control. They just can't. Like there's all kinds of stuff, and that's the other thing in that contract. Like what's when we talk performance, right? Is it, well, what happens if inspections are 2 weeks out? What happens if deliveries are delayed? How does that affect your contract? You got to think of all that stuff and how it's going to affect your contract too.
Yep. I mean,
Change
yeah,
orders.
and they probably have multiple projects they're working on at the same time, potentially as well.
They always do, always. And is yours really a priority? That you want to make sure yours is a priority. So again, that communication, that expectation, that hey, we have this getting done. Explaining to them. See, you're in the rental industry, so they're dealing with a lot of these contractors, and it depends on what kind of contractors you are. I would encourage you to try to look for contractors that are actually doing business in your niche. A contractor that's working for homeowners mostly has different process, different mindset. They're worried, good ones are worried about keeping it nice and clean, being, not too noisy, not, just really masking things off and making sure everything is just right. So the homeowner is happy, communicating with the homeowner, making people happy. All right. That's a different mindset than somebody comes into an apartment unit and can just hammer it through, right? They don't have to worry so much about the dust they create. They don't have to worry so much about all the keeping the owner happy. I mean, kind of, but not. They're totally different. And so they come into it with a different kind of mindset, right? And the other thing they know is that time is money. If our deadline is July 20th, right? And you go to August 1st or 2nd, August 2nd, I can't rent that probably until September. I just missed a full month, and maybe that's $1,500. Like you just cost me, contractor, $1,500 because you went over your contract by 2 weeks. You costed me $1,500. You're going to pay for that, right? And that's the expectations you can set up for them, is like knowing, like, look, okay, you said you're going to get it done July 20th. That allows me to get a tenant in there August 1st. I want you to understand that. And if I can't get a tenant in there August 1st, it's costing me $1,500. So we're going to put this in our contract that if this happens, whatever, maybe you split it, maybe whatever it is, but we have to put that in a contract. I recently had a contractor I had to let go because of that. He kept on extending his timeline, and we missed out on 2 months worth of rent because of his delays. We had to get rid of him because it would have been a third and maybe even a fourth month and maybe even a fifth month. Who knows? By the time he's done, because I've dealt with those type of contractors before, once the excuses start, they continue to roll.
Yep. And I mean, there's lots of great contractors out there, and then
Absolutely.
there's some ones that are not so great, and you got to weed those out.
So if you're renovating, whether it's a house, whether it's a apartment, I would look for, well, depends on where you're at, right? If you're listening to me and you're already have a ton of experience, well, then you probably know what you're doing. But if you're trying to like, okay, what are the best strategies here? In my opinion, the best is to find a company that has, your main guy or gal, and that has a few employees, and that has subcontractors. And then I would look for somebody who's done what you're doing, right? Who's done renovations on apartment buildings, who've done renovations on flips, whatever you're doing, they've already have experience in that. And that's kind of their niche. I would make sure you're finding somebody that actually has experience and has a team. A team is important. Understanding their team, right? Getting referrals from previous, people that they've done business with. Referrals are huge. I want to know that these guys can actually perform. If they can't perform, well, why do I want to hire? Okay. And then look out for big down payments. Um, look out for look out for contractors who don't want to sign contracts, especially your contracts. Look out for contractors that always need money. Okay. If the number one thing they're concerned about is when do they get paid and how much, and really like, well, no, I can't wait that whatever 5-day, 10-day delay. I got to get a check on the spot. That's a contractor that I don't care that they gave you good pricing. It's just somebody you don't want to deal with. Trust me, I've done it. Okay. I've learned from my mistakes. I've done it before because I go, oh, that's a great price. Like, man, they're doing it for an amazing price. And I know pricing because I've done it before. Like, I know how long things take. So I know how much profit margin some of these contractors are making. And it drives me crazy sometimes when I go, oh my gosh, they're going to tile that bathroom and it's going to take them 8 hours and they're charging me $800. They're charging me $100 an hour. I'm going, it drives me crazy. And then I get this bid from this guy that's going to do it for $300. And I'm like, perfect. So then I go for that guy that does it for, $300. And he never gets it done, or he's demanding money. Like, can I get an advance? Like, no, I'm not going to give you an advance. Well, if I can't get an advance, I can't finish it. And then you're in this hard spot because now you've already started the project. You spent the money on it. You've maybe given him a down payment. And so then you give him an advance and then he never shows up. And then you're like, now, why won't you show up? Well, I got another job. I'm just finishing up on that. And then I'll come to your job. And I just, the advance wasn't quite enough. I need a little bit more, whatever it is. And, it just kind of snowballs. So you want people that I think have some money themselves. Like, that's a sign of somebody who can run a business, right? We've got some reserves. We don't need money on that day. We don't need it on the spot. We can wait 10 days to get our money, 15 days, whatever it is.
And so where do you look for when you're trying to find a new contractor? Are you like on Angie's List or Craigslist, talking to other investors in the area?
I think the number one thing is talking to other investors in the area, talking to other property management companies, talking to brokers, real estate brokers, lenders. That networking is huge. It's going to find you probably the best contractors that are actually in the industry. That's why relationship building is so important. There's so many reasons to network and build relationships. And this is just one of them, one of the many, many reasons. But yeah, I mean, you can go on to Craigslist. Obviously, there's a lot of junk on Craigslist. There's a lot of contractors because it's really cheap I think Craigslist now charges, but it's, $5 or something like that to post on Craigslist. And so you got the contractor that spends $5 every couple of weeks to post, and it doesn't have to have a professional business to spend $5. Angie's List is probably a little bit better because then they actually do have to have a financial commitment, and it's a good rating system. So Angie's List is probably good, but I don't know that you're going to find the right contractors on there. Maybe you are. Depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah. And Bigger Pockets is another place to look as well.
Yeah, again, that's a networking site, so that's another great place. Contractors are difficult to find. Good contractors are difficult to find because here's the problem. There's not enough good contractors out there, and the ones that are good are busy. They're busy. They've got a ton of work. But if you can work them in and somehow get them on your team, that's what you want, because now you start to become a priority. And they can, here's the thing is good contractors can grow their company slowly. And so if you can get worked in on some projects with them, they can potentially grow with you. And all of a sudden then now they're your primary contractor, right? That's huge if you become that. So It can take a while. Be slow to hire, be quick to fire. Don't let these contractors go and assume this is another mistake I've made, Matt. I go, oh, I got this contractor. They're here. They're doing okay. Maybe they start out really good, and then all of a sudden they kind of fall off, and you just go, oh, well, I got to give them more time. And once you start getting into that, like, oh, I just got to give them more time, or I want to fire them. Here's a mistake I've made. I know I need to fire this contractor, but I haven't hired another contractor yet. So I let that contractor stay on the job until I can finally find a replacement for them, because I think that's somehow going to move me farther ahead. Never do that. Once you've decided to fire them, get rid of them, get them out of the house, get them out of the apartment, and then hire the next person as quickly as you can. But don't wait until you hire somebody to get rid of the problem. Get rid of the problem right away. You don't need cancer in your life. Just get rid of it, right? Then find the replacement. That's okay to do.
Always be on the lookout for good contractors.
Always be on the lookout for good contractors. You look, I've and here's a strategy I employ all the time on apartment complexes, especially if I have a big renovation. Is I'm going to hire multiple contractors to go in and do units, and we're gonna end up using likely one in the end. But every once in a while, I might bring in a new contractor to try to remodel a couple of units. Now, if the one is doing really, really good and I really like them and I've got a track record with them, I'm not going to do that. And I explained to these guys, like, look, we've got 30 units we're remodeling. I'm going to give you 6 of them, and I'm going to give, two. I've got 2 other contractors. I mean, whoever performs the best is going to get the rest of the units throughout the project. And we explained to them, and for one, it helps with competition, and 2, it helps me understand who I've got and who the best one is to use. And usually it comes out really clearly with a winner in the end. I mean, I don't think I've ever had it where I'm like, wow, I like both of these people. It's always like, this one's way better than the others.
And when I'm looking for new contractors, maybe I have bad luck, but it seems like I have to reach out to 10 contractors to be able to get bids, 3 bids back.
No, you're probably right in there. So reach out to 20 contractors if you want 6 bids back. That's just, like I said before too, so first of all, good contractors are difficult to find because they're good and they're busy. Now, the next thing is there's a lot of mom and pop contractors. So they're not business owners. They're self-employed workers. Okay. They don't know how to run a business because they're good at what they do. And that's construction. That's building things. That's wrecking things. That's, making artwork out of houses. They're good at that. They're not good at running around and doing estimates. They're not good at communication. You can't be good at everything. And that's why these mom and pops is very difficult to do continual business with, is because they're not good at everything. So you either have to decide how to do it yourself or hire somebody a company large enough that has their own estimator or salesperson that has in-house, bookkeeping, that type of thing. It's going to cost you a little bit more money now because they have overhead, but they're going to get estimates. Why do you think, Matt, that people are willing to pay, people in the Twin Cities are willing to pay $500 per square for their roof, where I can get a roof done? I kid you not, I can get a roof done for about $220 actually even less, but depending on the pitch, but about $220 per square foot. Yeah, I could charge $500. Right? It's because of these homeowners get sick of nobody showing up And the 3 companies that actually show up and give them bids, they got to choose from one of them. Well, they're the reputable companies. They showed up. They were well represented. They had a nice flyer. They have a nice brochure, whatever, to give people. And then they, of course, like, it's, who are you going to pick? You're going to pick the guy that shows up with, grease all over him, that waits 6 weeks to give you a bid, or are you going to show up? You're going to pay for the company that shows up and gives you the presentation, and of course.
Yep. And if you're getting into investing, and the thought of having to hire and fire and manage contractors is scary, you either have to get over that, or are there any other options? Can you hire somebody to manage your contractors for you?
Yeah, hire a project manager, property manager. A lot of times your property managers have in-house project managers. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely options out there. You don't have to do it yourself, right? You can hire people. There's people that will do this. There's people that you could be a new home developer and never have to do it yourself, right? I did a new home construction development deal, and I hired a project manager, and they came in, they managed it, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm excellent at it, but like, I know the industry and I'm decent at project management. But I just knew, like, this guy is way better than me. Like, why would I do it myself when this guy's going to do an amazing job at it? And I don't have to pay him that much. Like, he managed that whole project for $3,000. Like, he's going to do an amazing job and going to save me probably $10,000. Why would I do it? Same thing with apartment buildings. I mean, you can hire somebody and you can pay them between 6 and 10% of the project, and they'll do it. They'll manage the project for you, and they'll do probably an excellent job and probably save you that much or more.
And if you're, for our listeners who are just starting out and maybe they've got the time, but not infinite money yet, one cost-saving measure is that you can order the materials yourself. So you can, like, go to Home Depot, and Home Depot will help you figure out what materials you need, instead of having the contractor get them all.
Yeah. Either way, I would understand how much materials cost, and whether you're going to have the contractor do it or not. Make sure that the contractor is not gouging you on the price of materials. So either way, if you go, okay, well, each unit's going to cost me, $6,200 in materials, and the contractor's all of a sudden charging you $7,500. Well, okay, now we need to have a conversation with the contractor. What's going on?
Yeah, that's a bit of a markup.
Yeah, so we just need to understand that. But yeah, you can pick out materials, and you can get as involved as you want. You can hire the right people. I would not allow the contractor to be the project manager. I would make sure you or somebody else is the project manager looking over the contractor. You have to have that layer.
Yeah. And, thinking back on your story of your Altima that broke down because you were carrying all those materials, when Home Depot would have delivered them for free.
Yeah, find ways to be efficient, right, Matt? I mean, man, that was crazy times, and I just didn't really. I was just trying to save a buck. That's the other thing. Like, if you're trying to save a buck, good luck. It's not going to happen. I'm all about being frugal. Like, I'm one of the most frugal people you'll ever meet, but you can't. You have to understand the difference between saving $1 and actually spending more time and wasting $10 on the dollar you saved. Right. And that happens so often. People think, oh, I'm going to go run around and buy appliances off of Craigslist. Like, we're going to go run around and buy appliances off of Craigslist. So we're going to buy these appliances off of Craigslist that are junk in the first place. And we don't know if there's anything right or wrong with them. They got no warranties. And so we're going to run around and we're going to buy these appliances. We're going to save, $500 on appliances. We're going to spend, 4 hours looking for them, and we're going to spend another 3 hours going to pick them up. and drive them around. And then we hope and pray that they last for a year, because the new appliances that we could have gotten delivered to us have a 1-year warranty on them. Right. And so if these don't last, then we're out the money. Like that's like, that doesn't make any sense. You just waste a lot of time. And again, you save $1 to spend 10.
That's all about mindset there, thinking big.
Yep. Yeah. So, well, cool. I mean, I could probably keep on going and get on rants about contractors. And I mean, there's a lot to think about. There's a lot to understand, but it really comes down to respect, as you said earlier, respecting the contractors, understanding that they're experts at the artwork of the house, right? They are experts at understanding how to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. They're not necessarily business owners. They're not necessarily, maybe they are business owners, but they're not necessarily that entrepreneurial. They're self-employed, most of them. And so just understand who you're dealing with, respect who they are, and then communicate and over communicate. I think that's huge. With it in writing is going to get you a lot farther than just focusing on price. And that's the biggest mistake that I've ever made, is just focusing on price and also promise, price and promise.
Yeah, the cheapest price is not necessarily the best option to go with.
No. And sometimes it is, but usually it's not.
All right. Well, that's all I got for today.
Awesome, man. Well, have a fantastic rest of the day. Make every day Saturday.
Yeah, you too.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you being a loyal listener. I would love to have you go on to our Facebook page and subscribe, give us a thumbs up, go on to iTunes or wherever you listen and give us a rating and review. Don't forget to subscribe. Your rating and review just helps us push this out to more and more people and continue to grow our audience and hopefully positively affect a ton of people out there that really need this and want this. So the other thing I've got for you is a free ebook on my website. So go on to venturedproperties.com, and download our free ebook on real estate and on syndication. And I've got some data points in there, some really good stuff for you. So I'd love to have you take a look at that. It's free. I'm not expecting anything from it. And also, look, if you want some help in multifamily, want some help learning, growing, getting your business off the ground, I would love to talk to you about what it would look like to work with me potentially and see if that's a good fit. So you can go to coachwithdex.com and check that out, and we can definitely have a call. Thanks a lot for listening. You make it a fantastic rest of the day. I'll catch you on the next episode.